we're also joined by our Chief of Operations, Andrea Shortsleeve, who was Commissioner of Fish and Wildlife just before I, and Chris Saunders, who also works in the Commissioner's office with us, who's responsible for the PowerPoint that I have and a lot of the content that Charles imagined and then brought to fruition. None of it's imagined, but he's the brain envisioned. There you go. He's the brainchild. And I don't know if I'm able to share this. I was given a link, and I'm sorry if I should just begin. I'm happy to do that. If you want a visual, we did spend a good deal of time on it.
Yeah, no, we have it on our website, but why don't you share it with us?
And share it.
Yes.
While I'm booting up here, I just wanted to say that it's not lost on me that I'm talking about food security to folks who bring a lot of food to Vermonters and beyond. And so I certainly know my place, and I wouldn't want to try and usurp any efforts that our folks' vocation and career in any way. And I do want to thank everyone for their commitments to society. I would be nothing without the roaming I got to do on Richard's father's land growing up. I owe him a lot. And this may or may not work out.
Give you, or try to give you some technical assistance. That would be.
Yeah, that might be helpful.
I've got the link in front of you.
Yeah, but I'm not certain I have internet access.
Maybe that's it. No, you haven't. You're not connected here. So
You should be able to sign as a guest.
Yeah. So
Okay.
if you double click that little globe. Yeah, okay, connecting, but let's see where you're gonna, just disconnected it. And go to the arrow, then you see that, okay, so, yeah, that would be it, yeah, and connect down here. And then let's get the link going and make sure that works. And you're connected now, it's refreshed. Seems good. Okay, so you're getting good. I'm gonna admit you.
Okay. It's still spinning.
Yeah, still spinning, is it okay? Let's see. Yeah, it hasn't, let's see, let's just see.
Yeah.
Okay. Should be in now, let me check.
Every agency should have a 12-year-old that comes with them to make this up.
Okay. So. Where'd you go? Had you for a moment and you've disappeared.
Still showing it says I'm still connecting.
Okay. So.
Yeah, the presentation as well.
You're back. And I'm making your co-host, the audio thing.
Get it turned off. He did.
I'll hold your audio. Okay. Do you mind, please stop this? I already gave you permission to share. And is what's going on with your audio.
Yeah, I shut everything off.
Okay, and we're not hearing the echo now, right? Okay, brilliant. So let's make sure you have sharing. You can share. Go back there again, maybe try.
Okay.
Yeah, you've got to open on your desktop, you just open the share. Okay, so put the live stream back on now, or do we have it all?
I think we're still going, so, and we can see that, and if
Yeah.
you,
Great.
I don't know if you want to try and expand that as sort of the final step there.
I think.
But you might be right under where it says house agriculture. I don't know if you can move that house
Is
agriculture
it
button.
blocking you there? You can go down here, click that slide screen thing, there you go.
Wonderful.
Oh, there you go.
Perfect,
Thank you for your patience.
thank you.
So again, my name is Jason Batchelder. I'm the Fish and Wildlife Commissioner. I'm also a retired game warden of 20 years and had a wonderful career doing that. We're here to talk today a little bit about cost avoidance and food security that we feel is provided by the department and our how our mission aligns with food security and helping folks fill their freezers in a way that also provides them lifestyle and exercise and peace of mind and through a traditional way. So you can see the title here, The Nutritional Significance of Wildlife Conservation in Vermont. I'm going to skip along because undoubtedly we'll have a bunch of questions here. So it's working, but it's making me wait for a spinning wheel as I do this.
Connection.
Yeah, I wonder. So I think I skipped.
That's the second slide, I think, there.
It is the second.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're good.
Sorry, Chair, it's not. It's I've got one in between this. We will get through this, I promise. I'm just going to read this one for you because that's our third slide. So Article 2, Chapter 67 of the Vermont Constitution states that the wildlife of the state shall be held in trust for the people by the state of Vermont, right? So us being in charge as the department are very what's the word I would use? I think we're very well positioned in this day and age, even though I feel sometimes we don't get the front and center headlines. We're still very front and center in people's minds about how food security fits into their lives, and our role protecting and maintaining the fish and wildlife and plants of the state leans heavily into people's day to day. Regardless of income and land ownership in Vermont, in trust that's enshrined in the Constitution, means sustainability for hunting and fishing opportunities. It means affordable, quality hunting, angling, trapping experiences, and an ability to gather meaningful amount of food from the land. Still looking at this one. Okay, so a little bit about our demographic. We, if you can believe it, about 1 in 6 Vermonters has either a hunting or a fishing license. 109,000 resident hunters and anglers. If you pull in non-residents, we're at 140,000 anglers and 81,000 hunters, 70,000 and 95,400 respectively. Our participation rate is very steady across the state of Vermont. While our numbers are down year over year, our participation rate stays very, very steady And the way it's been equated to me is, we don't have the young people that we used to have. So recruitment is challenging. People that aren't here aren't going to be buying licenses. Also worth noting is that historically our sales increase during times of economic uncertainty and other uncertainty. And there's a little graphic there to show you where our top towns are. I can move that a little bit for you. For fishing, our license sale data shows Burlington has the most anglers. Bennington and St. Albans, Barry and Milton for hunting licenses, and then counties, Grand Isle, Orleans, and Franklin, which are representative of a lot of water. In addition, hunting for Essex, Orleans, and Franklin County are highest represented. I'm going to see if I can advance this and have it agree with me.
Is that per capita?
These are, I'm going to ask Chris that, but I think these are actual numbers.
So like everybody in Essex hunts? You should just be able to.
Essex County for the record.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, Essex County.
Yeah. All 800 people, they all, right.
It's probably both, right? Probably both. Yep.
There we go.
Okay.
Just click on it. This was your first slide intended, right? So we go to the third one now.
Yes. Here. And you can all see this? Great.
Yep.
Okay. A little bit about our costs. An annual fishing license, $28 a year, an annual hunting license, $28 per year. And if you look at those breakdowns, they're remarkable, right? And if you think about what that could possibly mean, and if you know anglers and you know what's catchable in the state of Vermont, what's huntable in the state of Vermont, that is a very great return on your investment. An annual combination hunting and fishing license, 13 cents a day, or essentially every day of fishing, and we only break it down between September 1st and December 31st for hunting, even though turkey season is not encapsulated there, and there are other huntable species that people do eat. We break it down during the big game seasons. Some other notable add-ons that we have are our opportunity hunts, archery, and turkey and muzzleloader are additional, but they're still very low cost. Additionally, we have bear and antlerless deer lotteries, which people do take advantage of. My hunting license does not cost $47. It costs upwards of about $200, which is still obviously less than $1 a day. It's very, very economical. Unlike some other states, we don't charge people for specific fishing opportunities. No trout stamp, no specific habitat stamp that people have to buy. People do buy habitat stamps with regularity, and we really appreciate that. And no access fees as of yet. Youth under age 15 don't need a license in Vermont, and permanent licenses age 66 and up are a one-time fee. A staggering number that you find interesting: in 2023, 19% of all infants in Vermont that were born in Vermont were gifted a lifetime license. Kind of cuts both ways. This income is wonderful to have early on, but we do miss it as they age. But sometimes these are not reflected in our overall license numbers. So if you think about roughly 20% of kids holding a license, it's pretty remarkable. And then 1 in 4 active resident hunters and anglers in Vermont hold a lifetime or permanent license. So also sort of on the passive end.
The lifetime license is, so it's different from the permanent license you can get once you get older. How much is a lifetime license?
I don't want to have to guess. So it's age dependent. So under a year, I believe it's 8 times the cost of a normal license. So you're looking at just about under $280, something to that effect. A lot of them are gifted. We gifted them to our nieces and nephews. People gifted them to my children. A lot of them are gifted that way. And then they just sit passive until the child needs them, which is good for us, right? We can invest that money. But when it comes time to be of hunting age, of fishing age, it's a wonderful thing to have. My kids are enjoying it now.
Yes, Representative Nelson's got a question.
So, thank you, Chair. So you think about it though, some of those kids move away. and don't come back. Some of those kids don't develop into be hunters or anglers. Some of those kids, because they had that license, come back and enjoy time with their parents for a weekend. It's a wonderful gift. Also, they're buying additional tags as the ones that are fully into it buy additional tags as they get older. And I'd like to really see the long-term economic effects. I think it's got to be a win.
Yeah, I think we have that available. I think we could provide that to you. Over time, some of the investments mature at different times and we're able to pull from those funds. And I've been here 5 months and it's already been brought to my attention that some of that stuff is bearing fruit as we speak. Yeah, and I don't know how many years we are into this effort. It's got to be 30 at this point into lifetimes. But it is for the majority of the purposes that they exist, they're wonderful, and we wouldn't have it any other way. Even though it tend to cost us, but you're right. People returning for the longevity for folks who may get into it later in life, it's a wonderful thing for them and for us.
Do you have a question, John? Too?
Just it was similar. So if I grew up in Vermont, I have one of these lifetime licenses now. I live in Tampa. It's still valid. I don't
Still
have
valid.
a state license.
That's right. We have do we have a name that we call it? Some states have like return to Idaho or return to Montana to hunt. I don't think we've named it anything yet, but a person does not lose this license once they move away.
Lipsky.
The commissioner, last year, the governor signed a bill S-61, which I recall one of the benefits was either a reduction for military veterans in their fees or reduce or no fee for hunting. Has that come before you to this point?
Chris may be able to speak to it, Representative. As long as I can remember, we've had free military licenses or reduced cost, resident cost military licenses for folks who are on orders in the state of Vermont. If you're a resident and you get a free license, if you're on orders, you get a resident cost. I'm not familiar with this effort, but Chris is nodding his head and certainly you're onto something. Okay. But certainly we've had this as long as I can remember. We've had certainly allowances for military members. I used to take advantage of it when I was deployed.
I think this was specifically for veterans.
Yeah,
So thank you.
sure, of course.
Representative Brett.
And Abenaki
Yes,
tribe members also get to hunt free.
free. Yes. Yeah, for maybe going on 8 or 10 years now. Yeah, it's a wonderful thing that I think that was in the Shumway administration. I still talk to Chief Don Stevens routinely about the benefits, and he's over the moon. Etc. So food as motivation. So we point this out because it may be a little bit of a shift from some of you who may have grown up hunting. Nationwide, people are hunting for meat. People are fishing as a way to bring in food as one of the top 5 reasons for fishing. But hunting for a motivation for meat as a motivation is a number 1 reason why people are hunting these days. We were discussing in the cafeteria earlier about how many of us in our sort of our circle, and granted, I get it, we're in a different circle than a lot of people, bring venison or venison for me for lunch. Just something that we've grown as part of our lifestyle. And across the country, you will see that because of the availability of venison, it is a wonderful choice for people to be able to harvest and share. People still fish for the social aspect and for the sport, but top 5 motivation for fresh fish. It is by far the most important reason people hunt bear in Vermont. It's the most important reason for small game and the 3rd most important reason for hunting waterfowl. We don't have any research on deer hunters in the state, but nationwide it is for meat, and I'm certain it is for meat as well in the state of Vermont. And it goes a long way, but I have 3 deer in the freezer, and I have 3 kids, and I can promise you it runs out about October every year, which is good timing. A little bit about our license sales. I mentioned before that license sales and participation surged during the pandemic and other times of economic uncertainty and other uncertainties. Procuring a person's food was associated with improved food security during the COVID-19 pandemic. This is a study, UVM and University of Maine entered into this and showed that food insecure households were much more likely to hunt and fish and forage than people who reported that they were food secure. Probably not a surprise. Interest and participation in hunting and fishing as a food source increased quite a bit during the pandemic. And I think that we talked about that quite a bit, and we did have a little bit of a hangover after COVID when folks sort of went back to their normal lives. You can see that 2021 median income figure is higher than the average hunter and the average angler by demographic. And I think some of that's reflected in some of the towns that we showed, more rural, on the lower income, and then in some of the urban areas.
That's a single person income or a household income?
That's a household income, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, household income. And that's a little dated, but still relevant. Some of the rewards for hunting big game for your interest. Moose on the high end average is about 300 pounds. We harvested 54 moose in 2024. Harvesting pounds relates to a lot, right? Deer average 50 pounds, way up there in the 800,000 pound range. Bear, we're up into the thousands again this year, but 2024 there were 908 harvested and upwards of 45,000 pounds, and then wild turkey still up there. A lot of turkeys.
Does that count the bear taken by depredation?
It doesn't count roadkill, and it doesn't count depredation.
It doesn't count roadkill either.
No.
So those numbers are actually quite a bit higher.
They are a lot higher.
There's more than one way to harvest your corn.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, and I do have a slide on some of the stuff that we provide as a department toward the end. Probably doesn't capture everything, but certainly we give away a lot of roadkill, and all of the depredation allowances that the department offers. It's built into statute that if someone shoots a bear in damage to their property, corn, bees, process for consumption is among the requirements. So if you shoot one, it can only leave the property in your truck headed to your freezer, or in the truck of a game warden headed to somebody else's freezer. So kind of a neat thing, and obviously very responsible.
Can I extrapolate a little on this?
Please.
So that line at the bottom, the $6 million, that's an extremely conservative number. We chose ground beef averages in organic ground beef as just the very conservative way to convey cost avoidance. Jason kind of noted this, but everything we're talking about here does not include fish harvest, doesn't include small game harvest. So that 6 million would go up with those included. We just don't have survey data that's reliable enough to include them. And if you do just a quick kind of cursory search on sort of the exotic meats you might be able to acquire, and I don't know the legalities, so I'm not saying do it, but if you go online and look at like a venison value or a rabbit or a goose or a duck, it's a multiplier of the 6 million by 3 or 4. So it's really like a $20 million value if you really were seeking out the same protein source. And for a lot of these households, those would not be an option at all, ever, if they didn't have this regulated activity as an option to procure that food. So I think that's really worth internalizing when we think about the value this brings to predominantly skewing lower income households.
Thank you.
Okay.
How's the game through regulated hunting? And percentage wise, if you look over time since 2020, we're very steady, even with the spike in 2020 when we had a lot more hunters and anglers on the landscape. We're very steady. Some of that is due in part to expanded opportunities. We've offered extended seasons. Some of you may be aware that archery season is starting early, running later. We're offering a second buck tag this year. We're experiencing sort of high clover with regards to our deer herd and our bear numbers. So these numbers stay steady over time, even though we are experiencing that little bit of a hangover. But you can see the percentages of deer, turkey, and bear that are harvested that are represented here. Pretty neat figures. There are some waterfowl numbers here because you may know, some of you may, every time I see duck on the menu at a restaurant, I have to get it. Waterfowl is historically a wonderful table fare and something that folks seek out. We're sort of I would say in the middle on duck hunting states. We're not like an Arkansas or a Louisiana, but we do hunt a lot of ducks here. And harvest over 46,000 pounds of waterfowl, duck and goose every year. Small game, ruffed grouse is our most popular for pursuit. Our numbers are certainly down. Gray squirrel is increasing largely due to what we feel are new Vermonters, new Americans coming from parts of the world where squirrel hunting is much more popular culturally, and I'm a squirrel hunter myself. I think it's wonderful, and we certainly have the resource to support this. Okay, we do have a little bit of data on fishing through our fish culture section in fisheries division. We raise a lot of fish. We don't represent the catch numbers here because they're not all harvested. Some of them are food for loons. Some of them are, died through other means, and some just simply aren't harvested. But we provide 190,000 pounds of trout, salmon, and walleye every year. We do focus a lot on catchable size. We used to focus a lot more on fry and regeneration, but folks want catchable size fish. And if you follow our stocking efforts, you can do very well in the spring and summer, and now even fall and winter for catchable species that we provide. We do stock near fishing access areas that are very accessible, sometimes to the chagrin of some of the diehards. But most of these fish are stocked near where people fish, where people live, where we see people, where creel surveys show that folks are active. And we do provide through our access areas. 205. We have 205 fishing access areas. Wonderful opportunities to catch a lot of fish for food. Have any of you heard of our Venison for Vermonters program? This is sort of a warden-led effort that started maybe 7-8 years ago. Senior warden Abigail Sarah is essentially, I don't know if she's credentialed, but she's essentially a professional butcher. Grew up butchering her own livestock, and it has carried that over into venison. And they provide, as you can see, 1,000 pounds distributed annually, roughly, to food shelves. She's out of the Rutland area, but they do distribute broader than that area. Abigail does clinics. She'll be at the Yankee Classic this weekend doing a deer processing demo. Phenomenal asset to the department. And essentially the department allows her to receive these animals, mostly roadkill. I think they're exclusively roadkill, actually. And she processes them a little bit on her own time, a little bit on state time. She gets donations for cutting equipment, for the wrapping paper, and then distributes this all free of charge. It's phenomenal. And it saves a lot on waste. We have fish processing clinics through Let's Go Fishing, and we do offer fishing festivals. Our Lake Elmore Fishing Festival is the 31st of January. I'll be there in case any of you feel like coming and learning how to set up a tip up or jig. For panfish, it's a fun day. And then we partner through rural Vermont and Vermont Wild Kitchen. We do seminars with UVM showing people how to go sort of from field to table on some of these efforts and exploits.
Before you leave this slide, the and for Vermonters program just made me wonder whether, generally speaking, if someone has more venison meat than they need, what the rules are or the laws on sharing that either with food shelves or neighbors or selling it, I guess, or sort of part B of the question.
Sure, well, great question. We're the only state that allows the sale of venison. There was an article in the Atlantic that David Dean shared with us this week that sort of points that out. Folks like to point it out every couple of years that it runs contrary to the North American model, that we won't provide markets for game. We've had this law for 70 plus years, and we do allow it. Within 20 days of the close of the season, you can sell your venison. I recommend Front Porch Forum that for sharing. I certainly don't recommend selling it. Do whatever you want with your venison, but it's a thing. When people have too much, it's widely shared. It is legal to share it and barter with it within 20 days of the close of the season. We just don't see it. Folks are either willing to give it away or they're very guarded about keeping their own. And there's a lot to it. There's been quite a few articles that talk about Vermont and their ability to sell.
Representative Nelson.
Do we have Hunters for the Hungry here? Is there an active group doing that, like they do in other states?
I don't know. I think this is our version of that, Representative. I don't know if we have Hunters for the Hungry here. You should know.
Yeah.
Don't know. Doesn't sound like it.
Okay.
But to get to your point about excess venison, I believe that hunters can donate to venison for Vermonters if they go to a certified butcher and then have it processed, and then they can donate it to the program. They just can't butcher it themselves.
Thank you.
Representative O'Brien.
Yeah, just, I wondered about that. You don't see venison for sale in, Hannaford's or the general store. So what does it have to go through? Is it USDA or Vermont Ag certified slaughter and butcher, or?
Yes. So USDA appears to be the limiting factor. I get my meat cut when I get it cut at Eric Holmgren's shop in Orange, and he was a former USDA meat inspector. That's why I chose him, but he would always say that was the limiting factor. It's knowable, but we've had folks that want to make bone broth. They want to make certain food or soap products with venison tallow or venison bones, and USDA seems to be the hangup where they can't get it inspected. The Georgia market used to sell it out of their store. I don't think they do any longer. But yes, the inspection was the hangup. Yeah, not having the sort of the captive arena with which to inspect.
But venison for Vermonters doesn't have to go through USDA.
They do not. No. It predates me, and so I wish I could speak accurately as to why not. But we have been doing great so far.
And panfish are sold in the state of Vermont.
It is
Perch, crappie.
not crappie any longer, but
Oh, right, you're right. Yeah, that just changed.
that just changed.
Yeah,
But you could sell yellow perch, you can sell sunfish, you can sell white perch, rock
white
bass.
perch by the barrel.
That's right. Yeah, if you want to buy it. And eating it, some of the best, but people can get their own. I had to go very low on the scale, like low, around 10 cents a pound. You can buy it and sell it.
What prompted the change on crop?
On crappie, it was largely social, and that predated me as well, Chair. If Andrew wants to jump in, this was the board. The board took a hold of this. They, when I was with the department, we wanted to ban the sale of crappie on social grounds because they spawn in very small areas, like under a bridge underpass, and it brought a lot of people together and some of it was contentious. And when you're talking about $4 a pound, $3.50 a pound, people were protective of their spots. That didn't seem to hold a lot of sway with the board at the time, and they didn't pass it. This most recent effort was successful, but it was not present. And so I do believe it. I know it's not biological. Right? We were on record saying that you couldn't harm the Lake Champlain fishery with hook and line if you tried. And this is all hook and line. It's nothing's netted. And 25 fish a day, and they still have to be 8 inches long. It's not easy to catch 25 for the average angler. People that are good at it are good at it, and they can catch 25. But they felt there was some exploitation and there was some social aspect, sort of grumpiness around fishing spots. And they said that since we're the only, there may be other states that sell crappie, but I don't believe there are. I think we were the only one.
I heard they're worth fishing for.
Very good.
Representative Boston.
Yeah, just, on one of your earlier slides, you had, included foraging along with hunting. I was just gonna bring to the attention of the committee that, Vermont actually doesn't have a policy that prohibits, people that forage mushrooms from selling them. You can sell them and the thing is, you don't need you don't need to be certified. There are 13 states that actually have certification to be considered a wild mushroom expert so that you can buy and sell wild mushrooms. But in Vermont, it's just up to trusting the expertise of the gatherer. So that might be something maybe that we should look at, because as a forager, I think we might want to make sure that people are only getting what they think they're getting when they purchase wild mushrooms.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. Some slides that show this connection to the mission. So we manage for wildlife management areas and stream bank management areas. Private land and farm bill programs help us with this. Vermont Conservation Design, which I'm not certain you've all have had a chance to see. Maybe some of you have, sort of our wildlife management North Star, how we plan for the future around land and habitat conservation. Is how we go about this effort and in ensuring management of these species. I find it a difficult thing sometimes to discuss wildlife management, not having the background coming from a law enforcement background. But essentially, to all this to say that that our staff are all aimed toward this sustainable food production effort, and I'll just read down the list from law enforcement licensing, species management, and fishing access areas, fish culture stations, hunter education, let's go fishing programs. We all have our arms around this sustainability effort, so folks can, if they wish, harvest the species that we manage for. I guess managing for all uses is how I would sum that up. If folks want to consume 50 perch a day, which is hard to do, but can be done, they can do that. If they want to be a wildlife watcher, they can do that. We manage for all users, and every aspect and every corner of the department is aimed toward that sustainability effort for all users. And I know I'm sort of being clumsy with my language here, but maybe you get something out of that. Our mission for the conservation of fish, wildlife, and plants and their habitats is something that's been near and dear to this effort for a long time. When we at the department look at why we go to work every day, I think the majority of folks that work at the department look at it as a food opportunity, as an opportunity for folks to feed themselves if they wish, to enjoy the landscapes and the public waters that are certainly open to all for however folks want to choose to enjoy them, and bringing sustainability through habitat conservation and regulated hunting and fishing. Am I at the end? Might be.
May have reached the.
I guess I am. I know I didn't, there was no ask in this offer to present, and I appreciate that. I feel like we're here today just to raise awareness around an aspect of the department that I feel is missed in a lot of the white noise that we all hear around the Fish and Wildlife Department. But we're essentially at the 2026 crossroads. We're a habitat organization. Habitat is what it takes to conserve species and feed the folks who want to be fed by our licensed sales. And so essentially everything that we do is focused around habitat and providing habitat for wildlife to be wild, essentially for what I would say 10 months of the year, right? We get a lot of sentiment from various corners of the state around providing too much time and effort to hunters, trappers, hound hunters, anglers, when in the reality we're focused on habitat. We're focused on helping folks be secure in a way that they choose and enjoy the wildlife how they choose to enjoy it. I'd love to take any questions you have. I think that's all.
Yeah, let's Representative Lipsky.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. Couple of questions, try to make them brief. But having you being part of a broad A&R umbrella, you have a sister agency called FPR. And within FPR, there's a lot of discussion about over-browsing, particularly for climax species, sugar maple, which is very significant to our forest and our agricultural community, maple products. And there's concern that over-browsing, where maple saplings or sprouts are more delectable than beech, and we're being overrun by, for instance, beech, which is not very productive in that broader sense of habitat. So does Fish and Game policy for, let's say, antlerless deer, where there are foresters that are encouraging, expanding those reduction of that population to balance out the forest ecology?
Yeah, we've done a couple of things in the past year to expand opportunities for antlerless harvest in urban areas and statewide. So we've rolled out in the past week a press release on expanded archery zones. Montpelier is one of those. St. Johnsbury, Winooski, Burlington, South Burlington have all sort of been given this extra 16 days of antlerless hunting. It will start September 15th this coming year, and folks in those areas, barring any ordinances to the contrary, can hunt earlier for antlerless deer only. We do have an early antlerless muzzleloader season that runs for 4 days immediately preceding the first weekend in November. And then we've gone to hunting with high-powered rifles again for antlerless deer during the 16-day rifle season. This was attempted in the late 70s and 80s and had a detrimental effect to the population. And so we put in place a low permit number to start to see how successful hunters are going to be. We haven't had the opportunity to hunt with high-powered rifles for antlerless deer in 40 plus years.
Can you explain what that means, high-powered rifles?
Sure. So right now, as we sit here, well, let's say this is 2025. The only way you could harvest an antlerless deer, so a doe or a buck with antlers that you couldn't see, right? Mm-hmm. The higher numbers of deer are antlerless deer on the landscape. You could only harvest them with archery equipment or with a primitive weapon, so a muzzleloader. Mm-hmm. Couldn't hunt them with a high-powered rifle. So a high-powered rifle is a modern firearm that you can shoot out to 200, 300, 400 yards. It's much more. But
we're not talking like a semi-automatic weapon or.
Sure, there are some that are semi-automatic, but we restrict magazine capacity as a department. So you can only hunt with a magazine capacity of so the weapon capacity is 6, magazine capacity of 5. So no platforms that would allow a lot of rounds, but yeah, a lot of them are semi-automatic, and that's common across the country and across hunting, except for Pennsylvania. Strangely, they've only been allowed to hunt with semi-automatics for about a year now. But it's common. But yeah, it's more of the projectile and the efficacy of the projectile to reach across great distances. So with a muzzle loader, if you saw a deer that was 200 yards away, hard to hit. 50 yards and under is what most people, I would say, prefer. Out to 100 yards, it's okay. But it's all efficacy. And high-powered rifles make it very easy to harvest an antlerless deer. And so in the 80s, when we did that, there were a couple of factors. A lot more hunters on the landscape, a lot of non-resident hunters, a lot of deer were killed, and then we had a catastrophic winter that cleaned out the rest of them. So we had a long time to build our herd. We have a great deer herd now, a lot more forested area where deer can get away from hunters, but it's turning into poor habitat. And Representative Lipsky is spot on. The habitat has been chewed down to a nub, right? We have big mature forests and nothing coming up underneath. We have no succession happening. And so by reducing this antlerless population, we feel that we can encourage some forestry generation. And we'll see if it works. Our deer biologist is a brilliant guy, and I think if he had his way, this would work. A lot of people don't want to shoot antlerless deer. A lot of hunters don't want to shoot them with a Nerf gun. They don't want to shoot them with any gun. They think, and to use a farming analogy, you don't shoot your cows. The cows produce everything you need, right? And so, and there's some other sentiment too that maybe folks couldn't put their finger on, but right now we're at a time where we need to harvest a lot of these antlerless deer. For context, and I'm not a biologist, but I understand that when let's say a doe drops 2 fawns a year, one of them should be a male, one of them should be a female. And if you let that bear out over time, you should have about 50-50, 49-51, something to that effect. We're very skewed on that in Vermont. I don't know the exact numbers, but of our 140,000, 150,000 deer, we may have 35,000, 40,000 bucks and 100,000 does. So it's very skewed right now. And reducing the antlerless population is the way to bring those numbers down. Winter in reality is what manages deer herds, but winters aren't reliable any longer, unfortunately. And so here we are. Luckily, venison is very good for you and very good to eat. So,
Representative Burke.
Commissioner, the tier 3 zones with Act 181, there's rulemaking going on those now. I'm curious to know what the department's role is with that, if you have any information on the mapping, and I don't know if there what the role is necessarily, if there's recommendations at all. I know it has a lot to do with wildlife.
sure.
Habitat connectors and corridors, and just wondering what your department's role is with that currently, and I know there are some folks that are concerned about what that looks like for, rural Vermont in areas where they are going to see tier 3 on land, and whether or not they can, what it looks like in terms of, the scope of Act 250 in those zones.
Sure. Representative, I'm going to have to punt this to one of the other folks in the room. And if we don't know, we can certainly get back to you. Our wildlife division weighs in heavily on Act 250 decisions.
Yep.
But I'm not up to speed on them, and I'm not going to try to pretend to be. I wish I was. But I would be happy to get the director of wildlife to get in touch with you on that, because he certainly is our Act 250 guru, and his staff are the ones that would answer that for you.
Yeah, I
I
can.
wouldn't want to muddle my way through
Can
it.
I send you an email about that?
Please do.
Okay.
Please do. Yeah, absolutely.
Representative Bryan.
Commissioner, I think one of the fascinating things being we're the Committee on Food and talked about food and food insecurity, food security, is that being a sheep farmer, there are other sheep farmers here in the room, that I suspect we probably eat more venison in Vermont than lamb or mutton or more than goat. I mean, it's because it doesn't go through the supermarkets or even, or very rarely in markets or general stores. It's this sort of hidden source of protein, same with fishing too. And it'd be interesting to look at the numbers and say, like, Vermont, I know we don't eat much lamb in general in this country, but in Vermont, it'd be really interesting to know as far as ruminants go, you know,
Absolutely.
after cattle, it's second.
Yeah, I'd love to be in touch with you via email of that. I wonder if it's knowable. You think it is?
Probably likely.
Yeah.
The USDA can tell us how
Yeah.
much consumption is like livestock in the state.
I was just on vacation in the Dominican Republic.
A lot of
My
goat.
folks, it was, for some reason, there was sheep, lamb every night. I have no idea why, but I ate my share. Because I don't get a lot of it here.
Yeah.
Don't get a lot of it here, yeah.
We have, in a week or two, the Farm to Plate, team coming in and reporting. It might be interesting to talk to them about that question. And I'm not sure that they're looking at protein from, anything other than farmed.
Right, yeah.
Sources, but in the context of like 30 by 30, where is that? How is that measured or counted?
No.
Well, we don't often or never have you in, so thank you for coming in and speaking on the subject. We if we've got other questions that come up, we might have you back. So please appreciate your time today.
Sorry about the rough start. I'll get better.
Oh, no,
Well, now you know how to sign up, so.
no, please don't. Yeah, I'm sorry we put you through that, but
Not at all. Good for it.
all right, well, good, thank